Before the arrival of the Spanish to the American continent and the witness of the prosperity of major cities, the world of the Aztecs existed and thrived in Central America. Within the expanse of land famous for its azure waters, a powerful cultural, political, and religious center emerged. The capital of Tenochtitlan of the Aztec people. The capital of Tenochtitlan not only served as a beacon of Aztec cultural and artistic development, but also stood as the heart of a grand empire. With its unique and intricate architecture, this city became a symbol of Aztec prosperity and power. One of the most notable features of Tenochtitlan is its exceptional geographical location. Built on an island amidst Lake Texcoco, Tenochtitlan is a remarkable architectural and engineering marvel of the ancient world. The Aztecs ingeniously utilized the marshy terrain to construct stone bridges and intricate canal systems, providing favorable conditions for community development and livelihoods. More than just a beautiful city, Tenochtitlan was also the hub of public life and a vibrant cultural center. The main square, Zocalo, hosted commercial, cultural, and religious activities, attracting people from all corners of the land to participate. With a rich and diverse cultural heritage, Tenochtitlan served as a repository of Aztec cultural and spiritual values. Grand temples like the Templo Mayor were sites of significant religious ceremonies, symbolizing the strength and beliefs of these people. Today, let us delve deeper into the capital of Tenochtitlan of the Aztec civilization, with its impressive cultural and historical landmarks, leaving an indelible mark on the history of Mesoamerican civilization. Originally, Tenochtitlan was situated on an island near the western shore of Lake Texcoco in central Mexico. Its traditional founding date is 1325 CE, and it remained the most important center of the Aztec people. At the heart of the city was a vast sacred precinct, adorned with colossal pyramids known as the Templo Mayor, honoring the gods Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc. This site, now the city of Mexico, continues to be excavated and has yielded some of the greatest treasures of Aztec art, such as the famous sunstone, as well as artistic artifacts collected by the Aztecs from other great civilizations of Mesoamerica. In Aztec mythology, the city's founders migrated from the legendary Aztlan caves in the northwest desert and embarked on a lengthy journey that ultimately led to Lake Texcoco. During this migration, priests carried a giant statue of the god Huitzilopochtli, the whisperer of directions, naming themselves Mexica and promising wealth and prosperity if he were properly worshipped. Along the way, the Mexica settled in various locations, none of which were truly suitable for their purpose. A pivotal event in the migration was a rebellion incited by Copal, the son of Malinaxochitl, Huitzilopochtli's sister, seeking vengeance for the abandonment of the goddess by the Mexica. With Huitzilopochtli's assistance, Copal was slain. The Great War God ordered Copal's heart thrown as far as possible into Lake Texcoco. Where it landed would indicate where the Mexica should build their new home. The precise location marked by an eagle perched on a prickly pear cactus devouring a snake, Titlan, was constructed. The city's name derives from Tetl, meaning stone, Nochtli, the prickly pear cactus, and Tlan, located in suffix. A similar origin is the term Tenochtitlan, which the Mexica sometimes called themselves, and the name of their near-legendary leader, Tenoch. Tenochtitlan had an estimated maximum area of about 12,14 km² and was connected to the western shore of the lake and the surrounding rural areas by 3 raised causeways running north, east, and west, interspersed with gaps traversed by removable bridges to allow boats to pass through, and could be dismantled in case of an attack on the city. Additionally, there was a stone aqueduct bringing fresh water to the city from streams near Chapultepec Hill. While the lake provided an important food source, good agricultural land was scarce, necessitating land reclamation from the lake and ultimately military conquest to seize land by force from neighboring nations. Chinampas, or floating gardens, were artificial islands around nearby neighbors' lands, that were seized and developed to meet the needs of the growing population within the city. The city itself was laid out in a grid pattern with numerous canals traversing the city. Besides the 4 main thoroughfares dividing the city along the cardinal directions, most streets' canals were narrow, especially without carts or pack animals to transport goods, instead relying on human porters or small boats, canoes. The canals, along with many willow trees, flower gardens, and sparkling white marble statues, undoubtedly created a picturesque city. The city center was a ceremonial area enclosed by walls with 3 entrances to temples and impressive pyramids, from which the city expanded into 4 main residential districts. There was even a school for nobles arranged around the remaining land of the sacred area. Just outside the walls were a series of other important buildings used to govern the city, including palaces, buildings for prestigious markets, and numerous temples. There were also vast palaces like the former residence of Moctezuma I and the Palace of Axayacatl, smaller flat-roofed stone palaces for nobles and officials. The colossal markets where all kinds of basic and luxurious goods could be purchased, such as jade, chocolate, and vanilla, courtrooms, treasure houses, warehouses, architectural structures like shrines and aviaries, and cramped workshops, especially for metal and obsidian production, but also for local palm weaving, and small brick and thatch houses where lower classes lived, though these classes could also intermingle with small gardens. The Grand Temple, or the Great Temple, referred to by the Aztecs as Hueteocalli, occupies a central position in the sacred worship area. Atop the 60-meter-high pyramid base, ascended by 2 tiers of steps, are 2 twin temples. The northern temple is dedicated to Tlaloc, the rain deity, while the southern temple honors Huitzilopochtli, the sun and war god. The temple of Tlaloc marks the summer solstice, symbolizing the rainy season, while the temple of Huitzilopochtli signifies the winter solstice, symbolizing the dry season and wartime. The grand staircases leading to the temple of Tlaloc are painted in blue and white, colors formerly associated with water, an element closely linked with the sacred deity. Conversely, the stairways leading up to the temple of Huitzilopochtli are painted in bright red, symbolizing blood and warfare. Various sacrificial rituals, including human sacrifices, were performed at both temples to sustain and honor the deities. A typical sacrificial ritual involved the victim being heart extracted, skinned, decapitated, and dismembered. Following all of these, the corpse would be thrown down the temple steps to land at the base, where a giant round stone depicts Coyolxauhqui, the goddess who was similarly treated by Huitzilopochtli in mythology. Tenochtitlan could be considered the most complex society in Mesoamerica in terms of social stratification. The intricate system involves multiple social classes. Maxawaltin were commoners living outside the island city of Tenochtitlan. Pipiltin were nobles, descendants of leaders and former rulers residing within the confines of the island. Quauhipiltin, or Eagle nobles, were commoners who impressed the nobility with their martial prowess and were treated as nobles. Tetiuctin were the highest class ruling over various regions of the empire, including the kings. Tlacotin were slaves or servants. Finally, Pochteca were merchants who traveled extensively trading throughout Mesoamerica. Membership in this class was hereditary. Pochteca could become very wealthy as they were exempt from taxes, but they had to sponsor the Zocotl Huitzi festival feast from their wealth acquired through their trading expeditions. Class was displayed by the location and type of house where a person lived. Commoners typically lived in houses made of wattle and daub with thatched roofs. Those slightly wealthier had adobe houses with flat roofs. The affluent had houses built of stone with flat roofs. They likely formed complexes of residential buildings arranged around a courtyard. Higher-ranking officials in Tenochtitlan lived in large palace complexes that comprised the city. The social stratification of the Aztec people was even more complex with the Calpulli. Calpulli was a group of related or closely knit families. These groups included both elite members of Aztec society and commoners. The upper class provided agricultural land, and non-agricultural professions to the commoners, while the commoners served the nobles and paid tribute. For when the Spanish arrived at Tenochtitlan, their leader Cortés had only 500 men and fewer than 20 horses at his disposal. However, by recruiting allies such as the Tlaxcalans, he was able to besiege the city, which ultimately surrendered in 1521 AD. The magnificent ruins were plundered, priceless artworks and artifacts were melted down, and the Aztec civilization collapsed. What remained of the city was transformed into the capital of New Spain, as the Spanish called their new colony. Excavations within the temples and buildings of Tenochtitlan began in the 20th century AD and revealed the true complexity of the site's history. For example, there is evidence that the sacred area was built upon pre-existing architectural structures, that the temples themselves were rebuilt and expanded multiple times, and inside them were buried offerings such as coral, seashells, and marine creatures deep within the great temples. The city was stripped of everything valuable after its downfall. However, some remarkably beautiful artworks have been miraculously restored from Tenochtitlan. These include the iconic Sunstone, also known as the Calendar Stone, the magnificent stone carving of Coatlicue, the Tizouk Stone, the giant round stone depicting Coyoshoki lying beneath the Mayor Temple, the Altar Stone, a stone throne possibly used by Moctezuma II and adorned with deities, and a ceramic vessel in the shape of a human figure depicting Tlaloc. In addition to these stunning Aztec artworks, the excavation of the temples has also revealed art treasures from many previous Mesoamerican civilizations, dating back to the Olmec era, illustrating that the Aztecs were esteemed and even revered art collectors. Many intricately decorated ceramic vessels have also been unearthed, suggesting that Aztec artists may have had even higher craftsmanship skills than initially thought. Most of these findings are part of the impressive collection of the National Anthropology Museum in Mexico City, of course, built upon the ancient site of Tenochtitlan. Thank you for listening. What do you think about the stories of the Aztecs? Feel free to comment down below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to support me. See you in the next videos.